This week I learned I understand now why I always had a strict schedule on this channel because I just can't sit still. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. We're rolling on towards St. Patty's here in the States, and I don't they celebrate St. Patty's other places of the world. They just think that's just like a silly American holiday. It might be. But guys, it has been another interesting week. Lots of things going down, lots of new things to talk about because some unexpected things have happened. So let's begin like usual. Guys, talk about what am I reading? I am continuing. Like I told you last week, I am not done yet with part 1 of 2 Green Angel Towers. You can see my progress there. This book has 4 parts. I'm through part 1. So I'm reading part 1. Does that make sense? So basically I'm a quarter, it's a little more than a quarter of the way through the book, but I don't know how much longer I have just of this part 2. But I will say, guys, look, I'm struggling, but I won't say it's because this isn't good. He's not the type of writer I feel like you can binge. I mean, some people can, because there's some people who've already finished the whole book, and I think that those people are amazing. I can't do that. So I'm taking my time with it, and the problem is I tried, kind of balancing that and Kingdoms of Death at the same time, and honestly, I think I discovered is I need kind of a light, airy read while I'm reading Tad Williams to kind of as a counterpart. And so I decided with Kingdoms of Death, obviously that comes out later this month, I'll pick that back up when I finish this book because I don't want to do Mr. Rockio a disservice there. I feel like I'm just like, okay, this is just 2 dense books I'm reading back to back, and I'm not fully invested in, either one of them because that's the way it was starting to feel. So what I decided to do is I was just gonna, hey, what do I always do when I need some relief from that kind of pressure there? Well, I stick to some standalones. So, guys, I did go back into the multiverse. I did go ahead and pick up Dolores Claiborne this week, and I finished it. I already finished it. This was a super quick read. This is one of his shortest books, honestly. Very page-turnery. It is just a confession from one person, so there's not really a lot of world building going on along here. So it's something that you can breeze through really quick, like a Crichton novel or an earlier Stephen King novel that you can really just breeze through really quick. So I know at the time he was getting back to those, bricks. 600-700 page books, and this one being like 280 pages, was no big deal, but it was just what I needed. Because I felt like I really, when I say I'm kind of in a reading slump, most people assume that means you don't feel the need to read. No, I do. I am still reading at a decent clip. It's hard for me to find one universe I want to stick in right now. I just find myself, I always want to jump around. I start reading something, I'm thinking about what comes next. I start reading that new one. I start thinking about, well, what about that one I was just reading? So yeah, I kind of had that thing where at one point this week I was reading 4 different books, and some people might consider that crazy, myself included. But sometimes it's kind of what I need, and that's why last night I woke up at like 1:30 in the morning. And look, guys, it's tax season at work. And I've been drinking a lot more coffee than usual, so it's getting a little crazy. So I think I was overly caffeinated because I woke up at 1:30 and I did not go back to sleep. And so I just decided to pick up the rest of Gods of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's Barsoom number 2, and I finished that whole thing last night. So I was about a third of the way through, so I finished the final 2/3 here. And yeah, guys, Barsoom stays very good. Now that's the first one I hadn't actually read before. It was our first reading on. And again, I can't say enough about Edgar Rice Burroughs. The guy is amazing, and he ends his stories with such a cliffhanger that it's hard not to immediately pick up the next one. But for the sake of my sanity, I said, let's hold off on Barsoom number 3 for now, and let's work on some of these other things I had planned. And didn't really stick by that because yesterday I decided at work, I've been getting a lot of pressure to do it lately, so why not just go ahead and start this, 12-book series, Cradle, no big deal, right? I've had a lot of people asking me to start this, and like I've said, I have had viewers, you wonderful, awesome viewers, have sent me the first 8 books in this series, so I figured it was worth my time at least to go ahead and try them. And look, guys, it's super tiny. As you can see, in one day, I'm already halfway through it. One thing I'll tell you that is very true that they have all told me is that it is quicker reads than even Dresden Files. I can see that right now, at least here at the beginning. I won't pretend I understand everything about the magic system. I don't really understand what Madra is. I don't really know if I know what the sacred artist or any of this weird stuff he's talking about in here. I want to believe this is stuff he's going to explain over time. But at the moment, I'm kind of like, I wish he had a dramatist in here to kind of explain what some of these things are. But like I said, I'll continue to see what he does here, and I'm pretty sure that I want to say I'm pretty sure that it'll be clearer over time. So I'm just kind of rolling with it right now. Did have some people tell me, and I feel like this is a good opportunity to explain this. A lot of people have told me, Mike, knowing how you feel about manga and anime, I just don't think that you're going to like it. Well, I guess you haven't kept up with the channel at all. I've been reading some manga, and I've been fine with it. My thing with anime has always been aesthetics and sound. I don't like the overly horrible English dubbing, and I've talked about the crazy laughs, and I don't like the goofy facial animations and stuff like that. That's always been like the whole thing against me watching too much anime or reading too much manga. It's never been about the content. This just being written word, if it's Japanese culture influence and a coming of age story, and it's just a written word, I've got no problems with these things. So I don't think that'll be a real detractor. In the end, you may be right. Who knows? We will see. But it's definitely got me interested. I think this is something called progressive fantasy. I don't know if that's different from lit RPG fantasy. Again, guys, I don't know all these subgenres. I know dark fantasy, adult fantasy, YA fantasy, and grimdark. That's the subgenres that I know about fantasy. So whatever this is, it's definitely something new to me. But it definitely has me interested. And I'm going to keep going with it. And we will talk about, I don't know, if I end up reviewing these, maybe if I keep reading the series, since they're so short, maybe I'll do like 2 or 3 at a time. There's going to be 12 when it's done. So maybe, volume 1 through 3, and then 4 through 6, and so on up. So, 4 different reviews. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that's something you guys are actually interested in. I'm guessing since so many of you have told me to read it, you are interested in that. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So yeah, as you can see, I'm just kind of all over the place with what I'm reading right now. But again, that's why I ditched a lot of those read-alongs, guys, because I wanted the freedom to be able to do this. I do wish I had a little bit more structure, but this is the business we have chosen, correct? So let's move into what am I going to read. Obviously, I'm going to work on finishing To Green Angel Tower, Part 1, this week. I think I'll be able to do that. Then I can focus on Kingdoms of Death and The Hunger of the Gods, and the upgrade review copies that I have. And if obviously I start flying through those, like I hope I will, then I can work on some more of those Legends of the First Empire novels by Michael J. Solomon. So that's kind of the plans right now. But as you guys have seen this week, because I didn't talk about Dolores Claiborne or Unsold last week, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm not saying those won't happen again, but I'm going to try to get onto these review copies because the clock is kind of ticking on a couple of these. But that's really all I got going on for wanting to read this week. Let's go ahead and talk about this week on the channel. I did 2 reviews for Batman. I did a spoiler-free review for the Batman. And here's the thing, guys. Don't do a lot of movie reviews on the channel, but if I can tie it back to a book, as obviously you can with Batman, comic books count, yeah, sure, I have no problems doing movie reviews. Most people seem to be very receptive of it, so I was very, very happy to do that. But I also did one for a spoiler chat where I invited on Scott from the DC Suicide Squad cast. Is a very, very popular DC Comics, and basically more on the movies and adaptations, TV series, things like that, of DC Comics. Scott, awesome guy. We are in real life friends. So it was really wonderful to finally get him to come on the channel and talk with me about the Batman. Full spoilers on that. Not everybody's seen the movie yet, so obviously that didn't get as much traction as the spoiler-free review did. But I'm glad to have that there. It feels like something I'd like to do kind of going forward. If there's a big movie release coming out that's based around a book, I would love to be able to do that more because yeah, as fans of books, we do love to watch and kind of deconstruct these adaptations of them, right? So I would love to do more of that. And it's actually kind of got me wondering if I should go back and do that, even though it's out for 6 months now, if I should go back and do it that style of Dune. Because when I did those reviews, it was really quick. It was less than 24 hours I've seen it. I did both of them with Mr. Rocchio. I was wondering maybe I would just do like my own spoiler-free movie review and kind of compare it to the book. I don't know. That's just something that I'm always kind of looking for more reasons to talk about Dune. I have no problems with that. But the Batman, I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I'll talk about it a little bit more when I get to TV and movie talk here. We did our book haul for February of 2022. Always one of the more popular videos on the channel. I did it a little earlier this month, so you're kind of feeling like, it didn't run that long that you did your last book haul. Because I do have a lot of conversations coming up on the channel this week that are going to kind of take some of that time away. So I wanted to kind of move that up so we didn't get buried in between some of those conversations that I get with some other content creators out there. So that's why I did it a little earlier there, but a very, very fun book haul. Lots of new things to talk about in there, and lots of new series that I got to talk about in there, and lots of interesting comments on some of the things in that video, because I did receive some things that are considered controversial by some commenters. But hey, I want you to feel welcome to express your views here, as well as I would like you to welcome me to express my own reviews on this channel. But that's just kind of how it is whenever you have an author that ruffles some feathers. And then the big one for the week, I guess you would say, is I did finally start to rank the Stephen King books. This is something I've had requests for since I first started this channel. Wow, would you rank it? What are your top 10? Things like that. Would you do a tier list of all his books? That's too many books. I couldn't do that. So I decided I was going to kind of break it into multiple parts. And I know a lot of people be like, oh, you're just going to milk it? No, it's not really that. I don't want to release a 3-hour tier list video. And that's what me talking about Stephen King's entire bibliography would be, 3+ hours. So I decided I'd break it into 4 or 5 parts. And kind of just, take a little bit of time. But with the tier list format, I can keep adding to it over time, and I think it'll be the best way to do these things. But lots of good feedback on that video, and it's just kind of amazing to look back and look at, that first 8 years of his career, what exactly he did in that time span. It's just kind of amazing. And guys, it's going to get even more amazing in part 2, because the early through mid to late 80s, the guy could not miss. He was a hit machine. So we're going to talk about those relatively soon, but I had a lot of fun with it. I'm glad that other people are enjoying it as well. It does kind of clear up that void we have with no Into the Multiverse content on the channel right now. So I have no problems doing it. I'm glad you guys were excited to see it. And I'll let you know when part 2 is coming in a weekly update here in the future. But before that, I think I will be doing an Into Multiverse for Dolores Claiborne now and continuing that series, but I don't have a date for that yet, so I can't tell you about that next week plans. But what I can tell you about in next week plans is what is coming up this week. I am going to be doing my Talk About Nothing this week. It's a little early again, as usual, moving all these things up. And this month, it's going to be the writer of the Ash and Sand trilogy. This is going to be Richard Nell. So unlike usual Talk About Nothing, where it's just another fellow YouTube content creator, this is obviously an author. But we're not just going to be talking about his books. We're going to be doing the Talk About Nothing format and seeing where the conversation takes us. Now, Richard's similar to Age and me, a Gen Xer, and so I'm sure that, as you guys have probably learned by now, we have no problems coming up with things to talk about. So I'm really excited to see where that conversation lands us, and that should be out early next week. Another conversation, a collaboration I've been talking about for quite a while. I'm going to finally be doing our review, reaction, discussion of Beowulf, the J.R.R. Tolkien translation, with Mr. Philip Chase. Now, this is one I'm very, very excited about. But it's a little bit of nervous excitement, because I think that this is a story that Philip teaches. This is a story I think he's read a dozen times, multiple different adaptations or translations of. So I will be interested to more pick his brain than really more of a review. So I say it's going to be more of a reaction discussion, because it's going to be him talking about all of these amazing things that I probably missed and my reaction to those things. So it won't be the usual review format, what makes it good, bad, nothing like that. It's going to be a discussion about Beowulf, and I'm excited to do it, because like I said, what I love about Philip's channel is I always feel like I'm learning stuff. So I'm going to class for that video, and I hope you guys will join me for that as well. And then the fresh content this week that's not a discussion, I think about something that I get a lot on this channel. If you did subscribe to me or follow me or whatever they call it on TikTok, yes, I am quite new to it. I did do a video there where I called it Most Recommended. And that's just series that are most recommended to me by viewers. So I decided that went over so well that I'm going to do a full video on some of the most recommended series that viewers have suggested that I try, that are actually on my probably to be read soon. What I say is within the next fiscal year, I would say, okay, I can see myself starting these. So I'm going to talk about some of those series and when I think I might be starting them, and really just how much they get recommended to me. And it's a lot more than you think, but it's not going to be anything that I don't have any intention to read. That's what I mean there. So it is going to be stuff that obviously is significant, because I will be reading some of these maybe sooner rather than later. So I think that'll be a fun conversation. It's always fun to talk about I think it's always fun for me to talk about it, and it seems for other people to listen to it about what I'm actually going to read than what I actually did read. So these are always fun conversations to have. But some of the series you might know about. Spoiler, I had already planned to put this one on there. I didn't mean to actually start it, so sorry about that. So this one's going to be on there. So you know one of them, guys. Obviously, Cradle is one of the most recommended series I get on the channel, so that one's going to be on there. So there's your little tidbit for watching the weekly updates, guys. But that's all I've got for books. But there's a lot of TV and movie talk stuff, guys. Got to talk about that Batman box office. It's already cleared $300 million worldwide, which is pretty good for a Warner Brothers DC movie these days. The thing is no matter what iteration of Batman's always going to make money. So you got to look at it like that. I think that the warm reception from audiences and critics alike has really piqued a lot more people's interest. Like myself, I always say I'm going to go see a Batman, Spider-Man, Superman movie. I wasn't making it a point to go see it opening night until I heard the reception for it. And then, yeah, you better believe I was going to see it opening night because I didn't want any spoilers, But yeah, I'm not surprised. It's making money. It's getting very good reviews. It's getting very good word of mouth. And I mean, you really have to look hard just on the tube for people having a negative review of it. I mean, the biggest criticism I've seen is it's too long. And I mean, even I kind of said that in my spoiler-free discussion, that if you have a criticism of it, it's too long. Personally, me, a Batman movie could be 5 hours long. I'm watching it. It doesn't matter. It's Batman. I'm there for it. So I never cared how long the Lord of the Rings movies were. I was going to see those at midnight. I didn't care. So, yeah, it's very successful, and I'm very happy to see it. And I hope this makes Warner Brothers realize this is the method that they should use going forward. Forget the shared universe stuff. You're always going to be compared to Marvel with that, and you're never going to get out of that shadow. Even if you are doing some really great stuff, you will never get out of that shadow. Doing these kind of standalone where you can do sequels to them, but these characters are kind of contained in their own universe, I would love to see that treatment with Green Lantern, and they never even touch Earth. It's just straight up in space. That would be great. So I'm excited for what they're doing there. I hope they really kind of realize that this is the way forward. After Joker and now the Batman, I think maybe they might be willing to relinquish those reins a little bit and say there's room for us to let new directors come in with their own creative vision without having to be beholden to a universe which has been very hit and more missed than hit thus far. So who knows, though, with Warner Brothers, they are a true wild card. You never know. As for a sequel, if you do see the ending of the Batman, there is something that's kind of hinted at. I don't think that's the way they're going to go. I don't. I think that's just Matt Reeves building up this Bat universe here. There's lots of mentions that he wants to do Hush, which is a story I think is any Batman comics fan loves, and I would love to see. And he's also said that he wouldn't mind doing Robin, but he wants to do it right. So, if you did see the Batman, you see maybe there are hints to maybe a non-Dick Grayson version of Robin. I could see that maybe. We'll see. But at this point, I trust Matt Reeves. The guy, like I said, he hasn't made a movie I've disliked yet. So, hey, give him the keys to the Bat franchise and see where it takes you. I am fully on board. Some TV things here. I did start watching Reacher on Amazon Prime. The reason that I actually got interested, there are some people on the Discord server. A couple of my moderators are very into the Jack Reacher novels by Lee Child. So what I had heard from a lot of them, I was going to watch the Jack Ryan series because I'd never read the Tom Clancy books, and a big fan of the book. Scott, who actually just had on for that podcast on the Batman review, he is a big Jack Ryan novel fan. And when the show came out, he was like, "The show's good, but it has nothing to do with the books, like nothing at all." And that kind of deterred me a little bit, where I was like, I don't know if I want to get involved in that. I want something that's a faithful source for it, even if I haven't read it. So if I do decide to go read it, I'm not like I was when I saw Aragon, and then I read the book, and I was like, did they even read this book? I never want to do that again. So what I've heard from book fans is, yeah, sure, there's a couple of changes to some characters. They combine some characters have greater roles, stuff like that. But that it's like 85-90% faithful to the source material, which is really high odds for, any adaptation these days. Hey, Lord of the Rings. Hey, Wheel of Time. But, those are different conversations to have. But as far as Reacher, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I'm about halfway through it, the first 4 episodes. Really good mysteries going on that I don't have answers for. I think the pacing is just about perfect. It does like a little bit of those flashbacks to his childhood and his time in the military just perfectly, that it doesn't give you too much, but it gives you just enough to be, I've got this theory, and this theory. And I still can't believe that's Thad from Blue Mountain State. which is just a juvenile and absolutely hilarious show, by the way. But hey, that's a different conversation. But Blue Mountain State, very not safe for work show. But hey, if you haven't checked that out, I think it's still on Netflix. I don't know. It's good stuff. But yeah, it's just wild that guy, which was just a complete goofball on Blue Mountain State, is doing this, straight up awesome role. And the thing was, is like, I think I kind of had the preconceived notions. This guy's like the size of John Cena. And I expected him just to be a meathead, and he's not. He's very intelligent. He's been a former military police and things like that. So it's an interesting take on a series like this. I'm really enjoying it, and I'd be damned if I said it doesn't have me interested in reading the book. And that's not my style of book, guys. I don't read the cop or military thrillers, things like that. That isn't really kind of my thing. But this adaptation is so good, it has me interested in going and reading. I do have a couple gripes. Like, I think Roscoe gets annoying sometimes that she's like 40 pounds and she's trying to fight like everyone. It's just like, okay. But again, doesn't ruin the show for me. I really like Detective Finley. I think he's really one of the better sharp parts of the show. And the action, it's I want to say it's sparse. You have about one fight or shootout per episode, but they're always really good. The fight choreography is really, really good. So I'm having a great time with it. I can't wait to finish it, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it when I finish it. So you probably want to hear me talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, right? Or just Kenobi, I guess they're calling it. May 25th. Now, I've gone on record multiple times saying we don't need this series to happen. I think I was one of the only ones. Me and my former podcast host were both like, we got 3 movies about young Obi-Wan Kenobi. Why would we need another one with him being an old hermit in the Dune Sea? Well, I will not lie, guys. This trailer was really good. Really good. And here's what I said after Book of Boba Fett. They need this one to be a hit. They can't mess around with this like they did with Book of Boba Fett. This is an iconic character. You cannot drop the ball on this one. Now, I don't know about Favreau and Filoni's influence on this one. I don't know. I have no idea. But as far as just this trailer goes, it is a very good trailer. And oh my God, do you see now why I say Disney should say, fuck it, and just put John Williams recycled Star Wars music in these series? Because look at the difference it makes. This trailer isn't near this good without the heroes and without Duel of the Fates from John Williams in it. It's so good, guys. It's so good. I think there's even some Order 66 in there. So really good stuff with this trailer, and I love we're going to see the Inquisitors. I love that quick little glimpse you get of young Luke. This is just awesome, which just has so many vibes of young Anakin. Really great stuff, and I am super hyped, guys, about Owen Lars being a part of this series. I wanted Owen Lars to be a part of the prequels. I did, more than just that quick little cameo at the end of Episode 3. He's going to be in this series. That is excellent stuff. I can't wait, and the Inquisitors look awesome. And yeah, you get the tease with the breathing at the end of Darth freaking Vader. I'm always going to take more Darth Vader. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm more excited about it than I am any of the other announced series, which is crazy because, like I said, this is a series I've been saying didn't need to happen. They got me interested with this trailer. I think that's what a trailer needs to do. So, being someone who knows a lot about marketing, this was very well done. Because I think after Book of Boba Fett, I was kind of on the Disney Plus Star Wars. I was just like, okay, look, I'll watch Mandalorian Season 3, but outside of that, I'm whatever. I'm kind of back to that. This has appointment viewing written on it. I will show it to my kid. He's hyped for it. Way more hyped than he was for Book of Boba Fett, and myself as well. So, yeah, we will definitely be doing that for the anniversary this year. I think it's the 45th anniversary, May 25th. That's why, because I thought, why are they not doing this on May the 4th? But May the 25th will be the 45th anniversary of A New Hope hitting theaters, and it makes a lot of sense. So, what'd you guys think? I can't wait to talk to you about it. Lastly, before I go, movie time with my oldest. We did watch Forrest Gump this past week. And it was one I wasn't sure I was going to show him until I was older, because I wondered if it was something you kind of need to know all those historical characters and historical moments that Forrest kind of encounters in that movie to really get it. But apparently not, because he did really like the movie. He did say it was super sad at the end, and that would be hard for me to argue against him, because, guys, this is a movie that has a 100% success rate at pulling at my allergies. That movie will always get me emotional at certain parts, and if you've seen it and you know, you know. But that's a movie to think that it came out in 1994 has aged magnificently. It is still so great. Tom Hanks obviously won an Oscar. Gary Sinise was amazing, almost stole that movie, so how good he was in it. It's just such a, when I like any movie like that where you just kind of go through the decades, but seeing it through the eyes of someone like Forrest just made it even more special. And at the time, yeah, some of that stuff you may think, oh, it looks kind of goofy now. That was incredible stuff, like him shaking hands with JFK and Lyndon Johnson, things like that. It was just amazing at the time. So I'm happy to say I feel like it's aged incredibly well. It still has the same heart, the same charm, and obviously the same feels that it always did. And yeah, my almost 10-year-old really did enjoy it. He's actually was a good place to launch into some of these conversations about who JFK was, about the Vietnam War that his grandfather fought in, and things like that. Not Forrest's grandfather, my dad, my kid's grandfather. So it was really kind of a learning experience at the same time. He did also say that Jenny makes a lot of bad choices. So there we go, guys. Out of the mouths of you. So a movie I still find absolutely fantastic, and I think if you haven't seen it at this point, what are you waiting for? It's such a great movie. And if you have seen it, watch it again. I mean, this is probably like my 400th time watching that movie. It never gets old. It's easily one of my favorite movies of the 90s, probably one of my top 20 movies of all time. So I was happy to share it with my kid. And yeah, I don't know where we're going to go next. You know, I keep showing him all these movies that I love now. And I find myself watching less and less new movies because I'm showing my kid all these movies that I love. So it's just awesome as a parent to be able to share those things with your kids. And, you know, they don't just straight up trash them. You know, it's really, really great. So, guys, that was my week. What's your week looking like? Drop in the comments. Let me know what you're reading, what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you are playing. There are no wrong answers. And as always, have yourselves an awesome and safe weekend.